Okay, so 4 months ago, I said I'd do another Bloons challenge of beating Impopable using only support towers. And then, 4 months later, I actually did it. That's right, these support towers, and Geraldo. No revives, a true test of my Bloons skill. And hey, if you like these challenges, be sure to subscribe. After all, I can't let YouTube Shorts carry my channel forever. So, to start off with, last challenge I did this was on hard mode, and I kinda cheated using Sada. So this time, that's axed. Get it? And this time, I'm only using the support-based hero, Geraldo. Now you may think, but Ace, Geraldo is still pretty overpowered. That's not fair. Yeah, well, that's for people who actually fucking know how to use this tower, which is, not me. So, I knew to make up for that loss of power that Sada brought to the table, I was going to need to emphasize another support tower that I barely gave any credit to in the last challenge. That's right, the Monkey Village. However, this would have to be later in the game because to start off with, I placed Geraldo down in the center of the map, which you could say was a bad idea because without monkey knowledge, I would have lost round 1, and you would have been right. So, next game, I led with an Engineer Monkey, and decided to save up for Geraldo later in the game. I ended up saving up for a 0-2-0, because that would make it to round 10 all by itself, but then I would be forced to place down another Engineer because I would need more firepower to pop all those pesky balloons that kept finding their way to the track. This new Engineer would help me to get to round 14, where I was finally able to afford Geraldo, which, to be honest, since I didn't know how to use him, wouldn't be all that much help. And instead of focusing on Geraldo, I instead opt my second Engineer to a 2-0-0 because I wanted to be able to cover all the different balloon types that would come in the later rounds. And speaking of those balloons, when early round 20 hit, I had a big decision to make, because at this point, I was at a tough position. I had barely any lead protection, and absolutely no camo detection. So I had to decide which I would want to focus on, since either one of those balloons could be a real game ender for me. I decided to go for a 0-3-0 Engineer to prevent the upcoming camo rounds in the near future. This choice would get me to the round 30s, where I decided to start focusing on camo in a more permanent way, as well as to get a head start on a potential regrow balloon problem in the later rounds. I went ahead and got a 2-2-0 Monkey Village to cover the camos and regrows, as well as give a nice attack bonus to all the towers in that radius. Then in the mid-40s, I decided I wanted to go for a Spike Storm in the later rounds, so I placed down a Spectre and got it to 2-4-0. This wasn't really necessary, but I felt like it was good to have for the future. Immediately after getting the Spike Storm, I rose above the casual Bloons player, and I started farming. Without using a monkey farmer. That's right, I'm getting this serious. Then, it's rinse and repeat. Place another farm, earn more cash, get another farm, maybe a second Spectre along the way, and then boom, profits. Once I had about 6 of these farms, I started to truly think about later in the game, specifically DDTs and the bad at the near end of the game. I decided that I was going to need a tier 5, and I was probably going to go for the Spectre. I even went as far as placing down a bottom path Monkey Village to try to get a discount for it, but that plan failed because I can't read apparently. To combat this, I decided to place another top path Engineer Monkey for popping power, and at the time I started saving up for the discount tier of the Monkey Village, and then once I bought that, my focus shifted. I couldn't dilly-dally any longer. I needed to either place more towers or save up for a tier 5 or 2. And finally, decision time came. After finally, barely surviving round 77, I decided to place a 204 Engineer and another 220 Village to help against Moabs. This, combined with another Spectre, helped for a few rounds, but by round 80, this didn't matter. I needed a high damage tower. But what should I go for? A tier 5 Spectre or a tier 5 Engineer? Both would be super useful. But ultimately, I went with the Engineer because at the time I thought that my biggest weakness would be this late round Super Cerams, so I sold half my farms and made it happen. And did it make a difference. So much so, I just started replacing the farms I sold to start saving up for Tier 5's factory. And it worked! Everything was going according to plan. I got a carpet of spikes so easily, and now I just shred through the 90s. I am almost unstoppable. I mean, hell, I could probably beat chimps using only support towers with this layout. I just don't possibly see how I could... Oh. I guess we weren't prepared for Super Cerams after all. Well, I guess that's that. I just can't beat Bloons on Impopable, using only the support towers. I'm just not skilled enough to save up the money and get the upgrades. I'm just not there yet. But this isn't about skill, is it? I'm telling a story. A redemption story. And does the hero lose in a redemption? No. I mean, if it's for the sake of content, I need whatever I can get. So, if I pay you a few hundred monkey money, would it really be the biggest issue? No. It's a way to win, and that's what's important. So I did it. Then, miraculously, from a hunch, I bought a bunch of items from Geraldo's store. And since he is a support tower, well, it was warranted, and I'm sure you can tell, but I dominated the rest of the game. And then, victory. And there you have it. I beat Impopable, using only support towers. All it takes is, a little bit of skill, some patience, and just a tiny bit of money. And hey, if you enjoyed the video, I suggest you subscribe. Well, how's this different from the first time? Well, I'm not fucking around this time.